My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Join us as we seek the truth and travel the long road to justice. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi Fruit Loop. What you know?
Okay, I was back out in the snow today. I'm just telling you. You know, our saying down here is if the snow lays on the ground 2 days, it's waiting for more.
Yeah.
So we still got snow.
Oh man, like my yard is no different. It's still covered, but we're supposed to have more Friday into Saturday, and they really they don't know how much this is going to be. It's sort of up in the air, but they know we're going to get something. So I'm just saying I'm ready for spring. I have enjoyed the snow though. It's been very nice, like hanging with my grandma, and I got out today and did like the one-legged slide to my Jeep. Hit a little patch of ice, and yeah, we're just not used to it here, y'all. We don't have the infrastructure to deal with this stuff.
Nope.
So
not at all.
Yeah, our road
people up north don't understand. Like they have it so much.
Right.
They have the big trucks and the big salt warehouses and the chemical that they put on the road and all that stuff, and we just don't have that stuff here.
No, so your main roads and your interstates get plowed, but side streets, we're in the foothills and the mountains. There's trees everywhere, so this stuff don't melt my kids are out of school tomorrow again, and I don't think they'll go Thursday. Then Friday we got more coming, so who knows? Everything stops here. So we want to give a big thank you to Tina and Mary Ann for the PayPal donations. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes, very kind. So today it was announced that Adam Cox, which is Lori Vallow's brother, is going to be on 2020 this Friday, and they've got a lot of new exclusive video. I'm really excited for this one.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I like Adam and his son Zach. They seem really like decent people and kind of a breath of fresh air in the Vallow crew, or not the Vallow, but the Cox family crew. They seem really, really nice.
Yeah, and the Vallows, they're cool. They're already cool.
Right. We love the Vallows.
Yeah.
Whose name doesn't, have Lori in it. But and also we want to give a big congratulations to Colby and Kelsey. They had their baby girl overnight, and she's beautiful and seems like everything went well. So big congrats to them.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a very bright spot in a dark couple of years for them. So
yeah.
New beginnings.
Yeah.
New year, new beginnings. So I know everybody's entitled to a trial with a jury. For the life of me, I cannot figure out why Chandler Halderson felt like he wanted to go to trial.
No.
I mean,
yeah.
The forensic evidence is just stacked against him. But not only that, but I don't think that I would want to sit there and this double life that I have faked to everybody is exposed on every level. Yeah. I guess maybe he just didn't want to sit in his cell.
I don't know.
I have no clue. But here's the thing. The state may rest tomorrow, as early as tomorrow. I don't know what the defense is going to put up, if anything. I mean, we could have closings as soon as tomorrow, maybe even Thursday. So this thing's wrapping up really quickly now. Today was all forensics, which is my favorite part of trials.
Yeah. When it's about dismembered bodies, it is not my favorite.
See, I mean, for me, it's just, I don't know. It's sort of that morbid curiosity of how can you be so warped in your brain that you could not only murder your parents without, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's not like these were bad parents. It's just they had figured him out.
Look, I ain't gonna lie. I wear gloves when I cut up chicken. I just, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, dismemberment is such a step ahead of just normalcy. It's such a personal thing. And to be able to do that to both parents, that's why this, and a lot of our listeners, it's not like this is a whodunit. This is just, the evidence is so overwhelming and terrible that this is the kind of stuff that true crime people love. So we're going to get started with these witnesses. And so the first witness today was, and now remember, we're just back after Chandler had COVID. So we've been out for a week, picked right back up. And the first witness was a forensic pathologist. I'm not even going to attempt this.
Do it.
Okay.
Rogalska. That's what I'm going to say.
Look at you. I think that might be it.
I have German in me, so.
Oh, you do?
Even though that's probably not German, but.
I got a German bratwurst in me right now. Right there. So she was the one that examined Krista Halderson's remains. And she was saying that one leg was kind of intact fully, and the other was dismembered at the knee and then at the foot. And the skin was starting to mummify when they found the remains. There was also insect activity, and the jury was shown photos of maggots on the body.
Oh,
yeah, it's bad. So I'm going to tell you, though, today I really saw my study into forensic files come into to play, because I knew a lot of the stuff they were talking about. So I was like, I know what they're going to say next. So they estimated that the shoe size was around an 8, but she said with the mummification, it was hard to get an exact length. And she said the thigh had clean cuts on the edge of the skin with some skin tags that are irregular. And what that tells her is that there's motion, like a cut and a stop, where the weapon is removed and put back in. And she makes a sawing motion with her hands. So she was able to see that the femur, which is the big bone at the top of your leg, it was cut, and the bone was smooth where it was cut in a diagonal motion. And she was looking at the right leg right behind the knee, and there's what they call a teardrop shaped defect that could be caused by a stab wound. And she couldn't say for sure, but it was kind of her best estimate. She also thinks that the dismemberment took place after Krista was dead due to the lack of hemorrhage under the skin, because when they start to dissect that skin, had she been alive and there been blood flow, there would have been blood in that soft tissue, and there was not. She also said that some body parts may be mummified more than others because of where the remains were kept. She mentions the remains being in a cooler or refrigerated prior to being placed outside. And she also said that it could be if the remains were in a more shaded area than some of the other remains, because they were sort of scattered, that definitely would affect the decomposition. And unfortunately, they were not able to determine a cause of death on Krista. So for cross-exam, the defense attorney said on the knee defect, it could be some type of stabbing. And she said yes. And she asked if that happened post-mortem, and the anthropologist said yes. And again, she just reiterated they could not determine a cause of death. And the anthropologist said that's correct.
I mean, how are you going to get a cause of death on a leg and a foot?
You're not. I mean, with Bart, they know it was shotgun, or not shotgun, but a rifle, an SKS rifle in the back. But yeah, I mean, as far as we know, they never found anything other than this little bit of evidence with her. Although when you start getting to the fireplace and what they found down in that pit, there are some questions I have about what he did burn in there.
Yeah. So do you want to finish this out?
Yeah, I'm sorry. So the manner of death, the defense attorney asked if the manner of death was homicide. How do you determine that? And she said it's the totality of the events. The legs are separated from the torso, and dismemberment postmortem is an attempt to hide those remains. And so right. So the defense attorney says you're using a lot of factors to determine homicide. And she said, yes, there's no way I can call this a natural death. And so the defense attorney asked, the fact the legs were found where there's, in other words, because you found these remains in the shape and where you found them, that's how you determine it's a homicide. And she said they also considered what happened to Bart, and that they estimate this happened around the same time. It went into her decision, obviously, to saying that this was a homicide. And the judge asks a clarifying question, and he said, when you're referencing sawing, you talk about sawing, or when she does this, when she uses the back and forth motion, you're talking about sawing. And the anthropologist said when they see those skin tags, that's a sawing or stabbing motion, meaning it grabs the skin and makes an irregular cut. So, yeah, that's that.
So the next witness was Deputy Michael Wilk from Dane County Sheriff's Office. July 6th, they show a photo from behind the house. Dude, I'm telling you, that one day I watched that, I was like, the little flickering light.
It's eerie to see because you know what's happening in that house. For me, that's how I see that. I was talking about this not too long ago. You see a video of somebody going in somewhere and you know they never come out. It's just makes me feel weird.
Yeah. So they show a photo from behind the house showing the lights in the window of the room where the fireplace is. They show a photo of the garage light on and off, and the last one at 4:31 a.m. They show a front camera from a neighbor showing the Subaru leaving the house at 4:31 a.m. And the cross on that is, she asked, you've seen the light analysis video from the back camera. Is it fair to say the light you saw on July 6th was not the intensity of the fireplace light from July 2nd? And his answer was, there was no video as intense as July 2nd. And then Deputy Kuntz didn't do as an in-depth analysis on the July 6th footage as he did on the 2nd. This is the only time you saw the lights come on that night, and the answer is correct.
Yeah, so Dr. Figueroa is a forensic anthropologist. Dude, I got that one.
Yeah.
Is a forensic anthropologist. And so what her job was to do trauma analysis on the remains. She mainly focuses on the bone, but she has to work hand in hand with the pathologist to get a bigger picture of the remains. So when it came to Bart Halderson's remains, the main question was to determine the tools that were used for dismemberment. And they use tool mark analysis, which is a method that focuses on the characteristics that's left on the bone and how they're similar or not similar to tools found near Bart that was in that fuel drum that they found on that farm.
Mm-hmm.
Bart's remains had changes on the torso, such as marbling of the skin slippage, and also maggot activity. After the autopsy, they dissect the parts needed for analysis. Then they submerged the remains in water to clean them and dry them out for 2 solid weeks. She saw both arms and both legs had dismemberment trauma. So they actually put pictures of just the bones on the screen, so it's not too graphic, I guess. And they showed the vertebrae, leg bones, and arm bones of Bart on the screen. And the bones showed a sawing trauma. So they were able to use what they call false starts, which is a cut that didn't separate the bone completely. And so the deeper the false starts, the more it tells this anthropologist about the tool used to dismember Bart. And they use the example, and this is kind of gross, but of cutting down a Christmas tree or cutting a piece of wood. So when you saw and it doesn't sever, you start over. You remove that and go back. So it's really amazing what they can do microscopically in seeing.
Oh, when you put that under a microscope and look at all that, yeah.
Yeah, and they showed all that today. And actually, one thing we're going to do is I'm taking screenshots of some of the evidence that's not graphic. And we're going to do I know this trial's about to end, but still, we're going to do a page on our website where we put some of this evidence so you can actually see it if you're not able to watch the trial. So one thing they also do is they use the distance between the saw teeth and the direction of the blade progress and direction of the cutting stroke to determine what was used. So the right arm bone showed at least 4 false starts, and the right femur, which is...
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hello, Saver. Whether you're saving for that trip to the tropics or saving for an emergency, now is the time to take advantage of Wells Fargo's savings options. Wells Fargo offers savings accounts that can help you save towards your goals. So, what are you saving for? Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/save to open a savings account today.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
The leg bone shows at least 2 false starts. The cut was inconsistent, meaning it was done at different angles. And she explained that sometimes that can be from fatigue, from whoever is dismembering, or, there's a lot of factors. But clearly he was having trouble getting this done.
In my normal mind, I can't fathom that.
No, I can't either.
Like, the wishbone out the turkey?
Yeah.
Dude, it gives me the heebie-jeebies when you break that thing. Like, I've had broke bones. I can't do it.
You have had some broke bones. I remember when you broke your wrist our senior year sliding into base, and you would not leave the game because you wanted to see who won, and here you are, this big goose egg on your wrist. But you're so grossed out. It's crazy. We're so different. I used to work in the morgue. I used to take eyeballs out of cadavers for like cornea donation, and it don't bother me. We're totally different in that area. Yeah.
Yeah. I've told you before, I can't even look at CSI or NCIS when they do an autopsy.
You can't look at those rubber bodies.
Hey, the ones in there where they throw up? That'd be me. That'd be me. Yeah. So the left femur has 1 false start. She was able to tell the width of the blade used, and a hacksaw blade was also used. She can tell the bone was cut back to front. They compared the markings and teeth measurements on the bone to the saws found on the farm and the oil drum, and found the keyhole saw and broken hacksaw were consistent to the tools used in the dismemberment of Bart's remains. What a moron.
Yeah, in the very early days of this trial, I saw a lot of people comment, well, I don't see a lot of proof that he did it, like that he did it. And then I was just like, wait for it. It's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of Krista's remains were labeled as Doe because they couldn't scientifically be proven to be hers, but they do a puzzle analysis fitting the severed pieces together, and they fit. They also look at the overall shape and size of the bone with the pieces fitted together, and they were the same. She went to the house and confirmed the remains in the fireplace were human remains. I mean, I'm just going out on a limb here. I have a fireplace, and I don't think you would find any kind of bone piece, human or animal, in the fireplace.
Yeah, no, that's not a normal thing. Of course, do you know who lived there before you?
That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But so she examined the vacuum cleaner, and they found bone fragments. The bone fragments found inside the fireplace were identified as skull bone. They found smaller bone fragments scattered inside the fireplace. They also found the root of a tooth. In the fireplace grate, she found a dental crown from a molar stuck to the grate. That's by temperature, right?
I think so, because usually they're porcelain, but I guess, if it's been exposed to thermal hotness or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah. The indention showed it was a human tooth. In the ash trap, they found 230 bone fragments. She laid them out and labeled them. Some were too small to identify. Most of the tiny bones were cranial. They found several teeth. The crowns were missing, and that was challenging because the jawbone was also gone. And we know from Tylee's dismemberment, that's how they identified her.
Yeah.
Was jawbone.
They weren't able really to identify any of these remains because of the condition they were in. Even the teeth, because they don't have the jawbone to compare to dental records.
Yeah. She also found parts of hand bones, fingertip bones, knee bone, and femur bone, tibia, which is the long bone in your lower leg, vertebrae. Some of the fragments showed evidence of having been dismembered.
Yeah. So my theory is that I do think that as far as some of Bart's remains may have been burned in that fireplace because they never found arms or legs for him, just the torso.
Yeah. Yeah. So on cross, she asked, you could ID human or not. And they said yes. And then the question, some of them you could tell came from an adult. The answer was yes. Question, none of the fragments could tell if it was male or female. And the answer is yes. You can't determine if they came from one human or more. And the answer was yes. Like, you're trying to figure out where they're going with this questioning. A lot of times you can tell what they're going to do by that.
Yeah, look, they got nothing, and he's entitled to a defense. I think that they, with the overwhelming evidence that we heard just today, don't even think about like the week we've watched this, they have nothing to work with. And I mean, some of the speculation is they may not even put up a defense.
Yeah. So her next question is, you compared tools with evidence you found. 2 ? Answer is yes. Like, where are you going with that one? You couldn't say if those tools on the farm were the tools used to dismember. And the answer is no.
Now, here's the thing. What's coming up, I don't think that we've got to the point to where they identify the blood or tissue that they found on those, because they said earlier in the trial they did have tissue on them. So just from a forensic anthropology standpoint, she couldn't say for sure. But when the next witness comes on that's going to verify that that's Bart Halderson or Krista Halderson's DNA on there, then you don't need her to say for sure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now it's time to feature our paid sponsor for this week, BetterHelp. That's BetterHelp, H-E-L-P. They're there to do just that, help. Are you battling with something in your life that is interfering with your happiness? BetterHelp is there for you. If you're looking for a safe, reliable, and healthy environment to share and work through your struggles, BetterHelp can help you. With BetterHelp, you're able to meet with a licensed professional therapist weekly via video or phone call. You can send a message to your counselor anytime and know that you will get timely and thoughtful responses back. This is a worldwide service that is affordable, convenient, and completely secure and confidential. BetterHelp's licensed professionals are specialized in depression, stress, anger, family conflicts, anxiety, relationships, even sleep, and so much more. We visited the BetterHelp website and it is laid out perfectly. It's very easy and stress-free to navigate. On the homepage, it asks what type of therapy you're looking for, and it lists for individual, for couples, or for teens. BetterHelp truly wants to help individuals and families work towards a healthier and happier life. And that's what the Pretty Lies and Alibis team wants for you. We want you to start living a happier life today. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor, BetterHelp, at betterhelp.com/whattheworld. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/whattheworld. Thank you. This ad has been brought to you by BetterHelp.
So the next witness was Andrew Smith. This is the guy that Chandler played video games with. He was a colorful witness. He cussed several times. And so he met Chandler playing video games online either in 2018 or 19. Andrew was in the service and he was stationed in Germany.
Isn't he the one who brought him the gun?
Yes.
Okay.
So Chandler told him he was going to college and working on solar panels. While Andrew was over in Germany, he was in a Humvee accident and he hit his head, which resulted in a head injury. So after that, he came back stateside and lived in Kansas. And once he got home and they were in the same time zone, they played a lot more games together. He said that Chandler preferred the SKS weapon in the video game. So he came to visit Chandler in Wisconsin in June of 2021. And it was kind of a last minute decision. So he drove and stayed at Chandler's home from Saturday morning until Sunday evening. He stayed in the basement and he did meet Bart and Krista. So while they were there, Chandler took him to swim in the Wisconsin River, which is really a big deal because that's where they found Krista's remains. He goes there frequently. And they went to stores and looked at guns. And during this time, Chandler told him he had a job at SpaceX. So,
hey, I ain't gonna lie. When you say the SpaceX deal, I go to that. What was the movie when we were kids? Space Camp.
Oh my gosh,
That's
love
where
that
my mind
movie.
goes every time.
I have that DVD. I'm
Yeah.
going to show my kids tonight, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, like that was my dream, was to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
And honestly, until the Challenger blew up, that was my deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he brought a 20-inch barrel SKS gun with him to Wisconsin. He bought the gun legally from a gun broker. And he said he fired it and did not like the recoil that the gun had. So he put it in his safe and then he just decided to bring it to Chandler to give to him. And so he took Chandler's driver's license photo and took a photo of that next to the serial number on the rifle. He said, so if anything like this happened, it wouldn't come back to him. He used more colorful language with that. He said that Chandler kind of hid the gun in the house. There was like a bench that had a hollow center and he put it in there.
Okay, here's my question. He does that so if anything happened, it wouldn't come back to him. Well, who you think you're giving a gun to?
Exactly. Right.
I mean, I can honestly tell you, if you sell me a gun, you ain't got to be worried about if I'm going to shoot somebody and kill them.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a little weird. Yeah. So Chandler told him he fell down the stairs and hurt his head and neck. Here we go with the whole head and neck deal. And said he couldn't fly to Florida or look at computer screens. He said he would have to wear a neck brace and have a hole drilled in his skull. He found out his parents were missing from Chandler, who called and said his parents weren't home. Chandler also told another gaming friend of his and Andrew's from Texas that his parents were missing, and they said it was serious and he should call authorities. Chandler said Bart and Krista may turn up, and he said he would wait a few days. Chandler seemed worried to him. After Chandler was arrested, Andrew reached out to law enforcement and started talking to them since the gun was given by him. Police did visit him. He gave all information willingly to law enforcement. I would too. I ain't going down for nobody.
Nope.
The time of the murders, Andrew was in Texas. They brought out his bank records to prove this. So on cross, they questioned and said, "You're interested in guns?" And he said, "Yes." "You decided you didn't like the gun?" And he says it had too much of a kick. And I will say that I don't like guns with kicks either. It hurts your shoulder and stuff.
I've only shot one gun in my whole life, and I handled it like a boss. I'm just going to say.
Yeah, it was smooth. It's smooth.
I shot an AR-15, whatever they used in the Colorado theater shooter.
Yeah.
We were covering that trial years ago, and somebody I knew had one. They lived on a farm. We went out, and man, it's crazy how easy it is to fire that thing.
Yeah. Yep. The trigger is smooth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the witness, right? Compared to other guns, the SKS is louder than some firearms. And the answer, it depends on the location. Inside, it's going to be way louder. That's just common sense. Where you fire a gun,
right.
It's going to change the sound. Question, you know what a flash suppressor or flash hider is? And he says yes. They asked they could reduce the sound, and he said not necessarily unless you have a suppressor. Hey, we know all that from the Wagner case, right?
Yeah, I can't wait for this coming up. I think in March, it's George Wagner the Fourth. We're going to find out how they did this. That's going to be a good one to cover.
Yeah. So they questioned this SKS you gave him didn't have this, and he said no. And they questioned, you talked about taking a photo of the license with a serial number. You've done this with other people. He said yes several times. When she asked for the number of times, he says it's none of her business. And they say no further questions.
I mean, look, I'm going to tell you, the way he said it, he was like, it's none of your business, quite frankly. And she was taken aback. It took her a second, and she's like, okay, no further questions.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So the next witness was Detective Clint Seltzner. He's with the Dane County Sheriff's Office. He was the one that searched Chandler's bedroom, and they show a photo of an iPod and an iPhone and also a flip phone that they found in his desk. They found an ammunition can in Chandler's closet on the floor on the right side. And excuse me, they found a regular glove in the drawer of his nightstand, and then underneath his bed, they found a box of latex gloves. Now, sometimes with these little short witnesses, what you find is they bring in the person that found this stuff, have them testify to kind of set it up. We didn't hear anything about these items yet. I think maybe tomorrow. So the next witness was Alex Gravitt, the defendant's friend and former roommate. He had been swimming at the Wisconsin River with Chandler near where Krista's remains were found at some point or several times in the past. He said he was told by Chandler that he was a scuba diver, and Chandler told him that he had joined the Madison police diving teams. And he said he thought Chandler had joined them on a few dives in the past. Chandler was telling him stories about getting caught in riptides and saying he saw a body once while scuba diving, and it weirded him out. So he said that Chandler showed Alex an old rusty looking knife he said he found while diving with police. And he also had a pink adult toy. So use your imagination. I mean, now that we know that, he was not on the dive team. I mean, where'd he get that? None of my business. There was no cross on that, by the way.
No
cross. So we're just not going to touch that. So the next witness was Dakota Brown, who was the defendant's ex-girlfriend. Really quick testimony. She had been swimming at the same location with Chandler in 2020, and she said they all found that spot together, a group of friends. They show photos of Chandler at the river he had sent her. And again, she was told by Chandler he was a certified diver and had a job diving with the Madison police, and there was no cross.
If he technically would have had all the jobs that he said he had, he would not have time to kill anybody.
I know, right?
I mean, he has done
productive
everything
stuff with his life and not murdering his poor parents, who
exactly
seemingly just kept him up so he could play video games and be a boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly. So the next witness is Paige Valenta. She's Assistant Chief Madison PD. They only ask if Madison Police has a scuba diving.
Dude, Chandler had his head down this whole testimony line.
They ask if Madison Police has a scuba diving team and if Chandler had ever been employed, and she said no.
Guess what the defense said? No cross. No cross.
Are you sure you don't want that Chandler wasn't on the scuba diving team? Oh my goodness. So the next witness I'm gonna get to, I'm gonna laugh the whole time.
I know, I'm having to cover your face right now. I can't look at you.
Yeah, that's funny. So they recall Brian Shunn, who is the lead detective. They bring out the Target bag filled with rags found at the farm. They found bags with similar barcodes and names in the Halderson house. They move. I'm sorry.
Don't get started.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's painful. It's painful that they had to bring a witness in and they ask her because his goofy self has said he was a Madison police scuba diver.
Can you imagine what he feels when these witnesses come up and they're like, never heard of him? We don't even have a diving team.
They need the gong.
Why would he go to trial? I don't get it.
It's stupid.
My gosh.
Okay, sorry guys.
Take a deep breath.
So they moved to the gun found at the barn. In the home, they found 3 magazines that fit the SKS rifle that they found at the farm. They also found a spent shell casing in the home, as well as metal bullet fragments in the basement. The spent shell casings was important because it's not normal to have a spent casing in the basement. They knew Bart had died of a gunshot wound. The fragments found in Bart's torso matched the ones in the basement. They sent the casing to a firearm expert. The magazines found in the wall matched the rifle found at the barn. There were no other firearms found in the home. They show a photo of the bullet fragment, and you see the projectile, and you also see blood staining on the fragment. My throat hung up there. Do you see that? Fragment.
You sound like one of those singers like that.
Fragment. I sound like Peter Brady on the.
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. Sorry, guys. The fragments were consistent with the ammunition found in Chandler's house and with the gun. The rope is double bagged and won't be brought in due to the effect the decomposition of Bart's torso had on the rope, which was tied around his waist. The rope has a bad smell, and it wouldn't be appropriate to bring in the courtroom. Okay, that's gross.
One thing I don't think I put in here, I might have, so we might be doing this twice. At one point, Chandler sent a bullet to his brother Mitchell with a note that said, "Get well."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Crazy. So one of the saws, the keyhole saw they found in the drum on the farm was a very old saw. In fact, investigators didn't recognize the brand name, and they did a Google search on it, and it was an antique saw, and the brand was called Alway. So they show a photo from the toolbox inside the basement, and there's another Alway saw. They also found a frame in the home behind some boards that matched the broken blade found in that drum on the farm. I mean, the only thing he didn't do was get spray paint and write Chandler was here on the side of that drum.
He could be on Scott Reich's Dumbest Criminal.
Yeah, I think we need to tell Scott he got to do this one. So on the handle, there's a broken piece of the saw, and the blade found on the farm matched this. They put a picture up, and it just like two halves, just right together. So the next witness was Jessica Crawford. She's a firearm and tool mark examiner. The projectiles found in Bart's torso in the basement were fired from the SKS. We know that. And then the next witness was Laura Matson. She's with the Wisconsin Crime Lab. She's a latent print and footwear examiner. And I can just tell you from watching Forensic Files, it's amazing how they do footwear impressions. Even down to the way we pronate our feet, it wears our shoes differently. No, the bottom of two shoes are not going to wear the same just because of your weight distribution. And like they can find all these little defects in the shoe print found at the scene to the shoe there. It's crazy. So they found some footwear patterns on the tarps. Remember, one tarp was found in the home. One tarp was found in that trash can out on the farm with that yellow duct tape. And they have a footwear impression database called Soulmate FPX. And they can refer to that, which helps them identify the brand and the model of the shoe. So to find the prints, they opened up the tarp completely. And she said, with doing this, you can sometimes see better in a darker room. So what they do is they use flashlights with different wavelengths that illuminate that shoe print. And what was I going to say? Oh, no, that's you.
On the tarp found in the home, she found a shoe print. She entered it into the database, and Brooks Launch 5 brand shoes showed up. This is the same shoe that they found in the basement with blood spots on them.
Yeah, we've already put a picture of that up. So boom, it's just his shoe.
Yeah. So on the barn tarp, she found a print that matched a pair of Ralph Lauren polo shoes. Investigators brought shoes from the home, and they can do an overlay over the print found on the tarp. They can find how weight is distributed, which is what we just talked about. They also look for wear patterns where the tread was worn down. On the yellow duct tape, she couldn't get one, but she got the better prints where they roll the fingers. And with that, she was able to determine the left ring finger of Chandler's was on there.
Now, see, this, you know what I was thinking today watching all this forensic stuff is when Lori and Chad go to trial, everybody's been so, people worry and say, oh, they're going to get off. Something's going to happen. Look, the amount of duct tape that poor JJ had on him is going to be full of fingerprints, possibly DNA. You could have hair, fabrics. I mean, for me, it was just a reminder that we have heard nothing in this case about what they really have on them.
Yeah. Yep. She wasn't able to get prints on any of the tools that was used. So on cross, the question is, on the barn tarp with the shoe print impression, you found the Brooks launch shoes and the other had the Ralph Lauren print. You couldn't identify the size. And she said, no, the Brooks were the only shoes provided to you. And she answered yes. On the duct tape, where was the print? And it was on the smooth. Was it on the smooth or sticky side? And she said the sticky side.
No, she said the non-sticky side.
I mean, non-sticky side. I'm sorry. I just saw the word non. Could you ID any other prints on the tape? And the answer was that was the only one. We don't know how the fingerprints or shoes got there. And she answered no. When you laid out the tarps, you used different light sources to see the shoe impression. Did you use luminol? And she said no. The question, if I step on a surface, it's possible for me to leave a footprint if nothing is on my shoe. And she said yes. So the next witness is Megan McMahon.
Girl, you done been to the bar?
Dude, it's water, I swear. It's Grogu water.
Yeah. You got some of Grandpa's cough syrup in that.
So Megan McMahon, crime lab trace evidence examiner. So trace evidence is fibers and things like that. She examined the rope found on Bart's torso and the rope found in the Halderson home. She wasn't able to confirm it was the same rope. That's odd.
Yeah, it's just that cut pattern.
Yeah.
And it just didn't match, although it doesn't take a rocket scientist.
Yeah, exactly. She looked at the pieces of yellow duct tape found on the tarp and garbage can and found those pieces were from the roll found in the Halderson home. She examined the bow saw frame found at the home and the broken blade found on the farm. The broken blade fit the saw frame. And then I know you guys are going to be shocked, but there was no cross.
No cross. So that was the whole day, essentially. It was just all forensics. I don't think we're done with forensics. I think maybe there's going to be some testimony about those phones that they found in Chandler's room, but this is winding down. And I'm not going to be shocked when it's guilty, but still, you know, the whole I'm just curious how long it'll take for them to come back with guilty, to be honest. So anyways, that was today's testimony, and man,
it's just stacked against him.
It's stacked. Yeah. I mean, you know, and then you think he was tried to be so meticulous in cleaning that house. You don't think they're going to go and have a small anthropologist be able to fit down into that little ash storage area that's behind the wall. She went down in there and did essentially what she called an archaeological dig. I mean, you're never going to get away with murder ever.
No.
Ever. I mean, it's crazy. It's just, it's insane. So that was all from today. I will be watching tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. The state is expected to rest at some point, and we'll see what the defense puts out there. I'm going to be very shocked if they come up with some theory. I think at this point, all they could do is try with these little things like reasonable doubt. That's not going to go far. I mean, well, maybe he had the tarp and he stepped on it at home. You know, whose polo shoes are those? You didn't say they were his, but you know, the tarp that he bought at Fleet Farm is the tarp that they found with Bart's torso, same size, same shape, yellow duct tape from the house. Come on. You know, anyways. So we are going to start looking at some new live trials. I'm going to actually do that after this, and gonna read a tiny bit about them and see what's up, and then I'm gonna probably put that out in a poll with a little short description and let you guys give some input on what you want us to cover next. So we'll do that, and hope you guys have a good evening. We want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Too Cool T-Shirt Quilts. You can go to toocooltshirtquilts.com/Pretty Lies and Alibis. Check them out. You can see behind me one of the yours looks better, Fruit Loop, because I got my LEDs on. And so we will see you tomorrow. Also, there's some new dates for hearings in Chad's case. I'm going to put those out on social media. we'll definitely have a episode probably Saturday about this 2020 with Adam on it. Sounds like there's going to be some new information. So
yeah. And we could talk a little bit about Lori's new, is she competent?
I tell you what, I'm kind of leaning towards maybe there's some change there because some things are happening just at a time where they shouldn't be happening.
Yeah. Lori Heller's put out her newsletter was really good.
Yeah, I put that out on our social media, so check it out. We will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good rest of your evening.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Wells Fargo presents one of the surest ways to grow your money. A Wells Fargo CD account, where you can earn a 5.00% annual percentage yield on an 11-month term with a minimum opening deposit of $5,000. Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/CD rates to open a CD account and start growing your savings with us.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.